Hello, wine friend. Welcome to the Wine Educate podcast, where we explore WSET education, study tips, and practical advice for wine enthusiasts and professionals. All right, so we're getting into the old nitty-gritty today with talking about these common mistakes I see my students making on the Level 3 exam. Today, we're going to specifically talk about the tasting portion of the exam. So this is the portion that you all are often most worried about. And I do understand that because we are not tested on our tasting abilities. This may be the first time you've ever taken a test where you had to taste something and think about it and write about it. So it can be stressful. I do understand that. However, if you go through all the steps and learn the SAT tasting, you will do absolutely fine on this. In my last exam, I had 100% pass rate for the tasting portion. So let's go through the few mistakes I see my students doing over and over again. I see these because as the examiner, I'm the one who marks the answer key. So I go through after the exam is over and grade you guys. So I see all these things and it can be absolutely maddening because many of these are so preventable. And some of these little mistakes can be the difference between passing or not passing. So it is a real shame. So here we go. The top 5 mistakes. First one is the language that you use, using vague or non-SAT vocabulary. You really need to stick to the language that's on the card, and that goes for things like structure, tannin, acidity, body, but it also goes for the aromas and flavors. I love wine poetry as much as anyone else, and it is great fun talking about Grandma's house and that time you went to the beach and you had this wonderful smell and experience. That is fun, and that is one of the many reasons we love wine. However, chances are I didn't write any of that down on my answer key. So I'm looking for things that are pretty common tasting descriptors, and these will be the things that are listed on the card, right? Lemon, grapefruit, whetstone, leather, cedar, those sort of things. You've got plenty of words, descriptors to work with, and those are the ones that I will be writing down and circling on my answer key and looking to see on your paper. So just stay within those descriptors. If you got a few things that are a little off the beaten path, that's not the end of the world, but all wine poetry, I won't be able to give you the points, and I really want to give you the points. For things like a white wine, for goodness sake, if you get a white wine, can you please put lemon, please? Lemon for the point. Okay. Oh, this is a painful one that I see happening on tests, and that is the student will get the wine and immediately think that they know what it is. Oh, it's a Vouvray. It's a Sauterne. Oh, it's a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. That's great. It's really fun if you think you maybe recognized it. But please don't then write your tasting note based on the wine that you think it is. Okay? You still need to go through steps one by one, going through the SAT and analyze the wine without any preconceived notions. So it used to be on the exam that you actually would write down what you thought the wine was. There was a spot for that on the exam. And the folks at WSET have since removed that, mainly because they felt like students were then trying to shoehorn the tasting note into the wine that they thought it was. So just be very mindful of that. Okay, so you need to write your aromas down, right? Smelling the wine, you write down what you smell. Please don't forget to then write down the flavors on the palate. So you get 5 points on the nose for aromas and then 3 points on the palate for the flavors. And whatever you wrote down on the nose, just write it down on the palate. Write the whole thing down again. For some reason, students will write maybe 10 things down for the aroma on the nose, and then maybe only 3 or 4 of those for the palate. And I'm looking for the whole thing to be written again because I want to give you as many of those points as I can. So please don't skip that part and be mindful to write exactly what you wrote on the nose down on the palate as well to get all those juicy points. Well, as you know, in level 3, you now get all the pluses and minuses to work with, except for alcohol, right? Alcohol is still low, medium, and high. And the exam day is stressful. Y'all are stressed. And when you're stressed out, you can make silly mistakes. And this is one of the silly mistakes I see is folks saying alcohol medium plus, medium minus. And unfortunately, you would get no point for that at all, which again is a shame. So be mindful, alcohol does not have pluses and minuses. So we have our lovely SAT card, and we take it with us everywhere, and we do our tasting notes. But don't get too attached because you cannot use this card during the exam. You have to know the order of things. And even if you say, well, I know I won't forget, you will forget, and you will be stressed out on the test day, and you will forget to write that the wine is dry. I see this all the time. It's just wild to me. I know that you know it. I know that you know it belongs there, but you're a little stressed and you forgot to write it. So you need to have a system in place for memorizing the order of things on the SAT card because you will not be able to use it for the exam. And this is something I try to encourage my students to do. We talk about this in the level 3 prep course, is to create your acronym so you won't forget the order of everything on the card and you won't lose out on any of the points. Okay, I do hope you found that was helpful. There's just 5 things. Honestly, there's quite a lot more involved in the tasting and mistakes I see my students make. Just make sure you practice and you have your acronym and you just keep tasting, right? And that you know who the person is who is doing the answer key and that you calibrate to his or her palate. All right. If you want more help with this, we do go into this in great detail in Launchpad, the level 3 prep course. If you are interested, check out the show notes. There'll be a link to the next upcoming course. So next week, we're going to talk about the top 5 most common mistakes I see made in the theory portion of the exam. All right, see you then.